Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Research 101. Today we're going to be talking about 3 things I feel you must do before you finish your PhD. So without further ado, let's get into it. But just a quick reminder before we do proceed that if you are interested in watching future videos, don't forget to subscribe if you can. As you can see over here, click that post notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. However, in any case, number 1 of 3 of things I feel you should do before you finish your PhD. Now, this is something I will badger on YouTube, on Instagram, whenever I'm talking to a researcher face to face and they're doing a PhD. I have learned the hard way that one of the biggest things you need to do is publish something. Now, that might be a first author research article, that might be a first author review. Now, the notion is it has to be a first author and it has to be before you finish your PhD. Now, the reason why I'm stressing this as a key characteristic, not something you should aim for, something you should make sure you do at all costs if you can before you finish your PhD. The reason why is that most jobs post PhD, even if you're not in academia, do weight the notion of publications very heavily because it gives an indication that your research was good enough to be peer reviewed and be accepted at their publication. If not, they'll be looking at your PhD and saying, what was the cause of it? What was the benefit of it? What was the outcome of it? And sometimes it's really hard to get anywhere, especially in academia, if you don't have something published. Now, you could have won awards like I did in my PhD. I'm very grateful to win poster presentations, oral presentations, impact on community, research Oscars, and these all sound really good. And I have them here. I think one of them you probably see behind me. But when it comes to the interview for a postdoc, don't really look at it, to be fair, don't even really care about that. The first thing they look at is, what have you published? Is it multiple? Is it one? And the notion of how many times I've failed at interviews, not because of me, but because of not being able to publish because of the reasons I had in my PhD, really hindered my progress. And I don't want that to happen to you. So if it is that the research is difficult, focus on publishing a first author review paper, because it's going to help your trajectory as a researcher, whether you go in industry, whether you're doing medical writing. A lot of people go into writing after, but saying that you publish something, again, a form of writing at the highest accreditation, it's going to help you in that stead. So speak to your supervisors, think of a topic just for a review. So if research, again, as I mentioned, is a bit tentative at the moment, you don't know whether it's qualitative or quantitative in terms of participants or samples, at least try to get a first author review paper. That's something you can do irrespective of research. So don't forget about that. Publish something, please. It's going to help you in the long term. And the last thing on this notion as to why I say publishing your PhD is you will look back and wish you had that freedom, that support structure by your supervisors, that contact time, that funding that you didn't have to apply for yourself, that supervisors got kind of for you. You won't get that kind of package again later. And you see many academics, they publish something from their PhD, but the other one they've forgot to publish or didn't have time, and end up not publishing it because they don't have that time, that dedicated time again to focus on that publication. To give you an authentic idea, I'm trying to publish a short communication from my PhD 3.5 years later because I've just not had the time to sit down and go through it. That sounds pedantic, but when life goes ahead, you forget to go back to where you needed to in terms of writing that paper or getting the samples again and just doing some reanalysis. Use the time you have now because you will, believe me, think about, oh man, I just don't have that PhD kind of mentality again or that time. So the supervisors, the funding, the time, utilize it now before it's too late. Publish something. Now, number 2 is not being a one technique wonder. What I mean by that is you can be the specialist in a technique or a form of coding if you're going like a bioinformatics PhD, or you could be a great interviewer for your qualitative research. But when you're going for jobs after your PhD, they need to see that you're able to do other forms of that type of research. So let's say you're quantitative in the lab, you use a particular type of equipment. The notion of that you're a very good specialist is great, but can you use other ones, even to the basic ability? Are you aware of how they work? And somebody was to ask you, can you use it? You seeing interviews saying that, right, I'm very, aware and I'm very competent in this technique. And they ask you, what about this? Nope, not used it. Nope, not used it. Nope, I've never had, don't know what it is. You'll be sitting like looking like a sort of an idiot because nowadays modern day research is very multidisciplinary. Now many professors and many modern postdocs, they have a niche or specialty, but they're able to do a lot of other things. They are aware of those other things. If you're into coding, if your research is in coding, learning the other programs. If you're qualitative research, understanding how to look at different statistics or different ways of focus groups, different ways of asking questions. Be able to look at variations of your research and how to do it. Because your PhD will have secondary and tertiary confirmations of the original kind of result that you found. And make sure you're looking at different variations, because it will make you a more well-rounded scientist. It will make you more of a employable scientist. It make you more of a better researcher, because you've now understood other departments. Your PhD can be a focal point on something. That's fine, but make sure you understand how to do other things is paramount. So whether it's go to other research labs in your university, whether it's going to other universities in your country, whether it's booking collaborations to go abroad, make sure you have an opportunity where you learn other techniques or other forms of how to collect data in your PhD. And lastly, number 3 is making sure you appreciate other things outside of the research whilst you're doing your PhD. Now, this is very kind of particular to those who are international PhD students who leave their home country, go to another place. Let's say, for example, UK. I have a lot of international friends from Italy, Australia, from New Zealand, from Africa, from the Middle East, from India, Pakistan, and they've come to UK kind of for the first time and they're studying. But I've had a handful of them wish they went to many parts of the UK that are kind of tourist attractions that they probably wouldn't get to see again, because many of them go back to their country and they'll be working for many years and they may not have that chance again to come back. So even if you are leaving your home country, or even if you are in your home country, sometimes once you finish your PhD, you don't get that flexibility anymore. So in the spirit of work-life balance, make sure you factor in traveling within the country that you are, or if it's a new country, make sure you go visit the places that you see on the news, places that your friends talk about, because you will find it very difficult to come back again and do just that. So the flexibility in a PhD is something I took for granted as well, that now I don't get the chance to do the things I wanted to do because of so many other things that I have going on now. So if you are a PhD student, if you started create, even if you're towards the end, you still got that time in your writing period perhaps to make use and enjoy where you are. It's not just about the papers, as I mentioned in the first part. It's all about making memories and enjoying where you are. Meeting friends from a different country perhaps, or going with your friends and your colleagues to some place in the country. Make sure that happens before you finish your PhD, because believe me, you will find it difficult to do it again. So guys, I hope you enjoyed those 3 little tips. I do urge you to try do them before you finish your PhD. It will make your life a lot better post PhD, if you're going into research or not. You would have made use, to the best of your ability, everything that's on offer in your PhD. So I hope you found it useful. If you've got any other things you think should be done before your PhD, let me know in the comment section below, or you can find me on Instagram, Aamir.phd. I would love to hear other things you think has to happen. I'd be more than happy to do a part 2 video on this topic. I try to keep these videos a little bit shorter so I'm not waffling too long. But in any case, I shall see you in the next one. Take care.